baby, you betcha. Coffee at the corner table with Grandpa Coyote and friends. Rare, but right here on the Coyote Medicine Show, yeah. Ooh, coffee and cookies with Grandpa this morning. Ho, 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 and away we go. Right here on the radio called hazyradio.com, the Hazy Radio Network, baby. Rocking this network around. Happiest bunch of hearts you ever found, babies. And here, your feet, your heart, on solid ground, even as we travel into the air and the Elysian fields of life, as mystical as all get out, babies. Oh, man, we set you free. We help you unravel the divine mystery right here on this Hazy Radio. Don't you see? Get it clear. Tune into Hazy. How about that, my dear? Isn't that cool? Ah, I should cut this one out of today's recording, man, and make that my Hazy Radio tribute for the day. You know, just play it every now and then. I think I will, man. That's a good one. Sometimes it just comes rolling out of you, you know. Just like, you know, you go journeying in the heart, you tap into the heart, and babies, next thing you know, you're talking from the heart. You're living from the heart. So your words are just putting energies into motion. It becomes a creative thing. Your life becomes like in complete harmony with all life that is. You see, and you're moving in the flow in the same direction that all life is moving with you. And you no longer perceive difficulty and struggle and pain and sorrow and grief and separation and shit like that, because you know all life is alive and you're with it constantly. So no matter what form its blessing takes with you, whether it be what we perceive as living or dead, in this reality, it's still with you. I mean, it just transforms in its energy, in its way it applies itself, that's all. For example, my little doggie, I set her free about a year ago, man. And, you know, she come right back to my heart and still lives there, man. Constantly. I appreciate all the good moments we had, but the good moments we have right now, even as I enjoy the presence of another little doggie's company, you know. You went bonded to the heart with that one too, you know. You never lose these kind of connections, you see. You stay consciously present and you don't feel the separate. Now I did with that dog. I felt the, you know, all of it for a while. I had to go through it. I had to remember it, you know, because, you know, it's not the first loss in my life. Good grief. I got to the point where I just numbed myself out. So many were dropping by the wayside as we went along, you know. I mean, in my generation, the casualties were severe, like 50% or something like that, you know. I mean, before we reached our 40s, for heck's sakes, you know. It was rough and tumble, babies, you know. But those that made it through, the dear, sincere hearts, and those that didn't make it, the dear, sincere hearts that had to expire for whatever the reason and transform in a different way, from a different level, you see. And now those levels that we consider dimensionally are dissolving away because they're just dreams inside of dreams, ways of living the dreams, levels of dream. This is what they are. It fits in the divine scheme of things, you see. It's programmed right from our heart, right from the start. It's a very, very malleable dream, babies. And from our heart, we can move it in any direction we want. And it's very clear that we've always chosen the way that is dear to our heart, and we've given ourselves maximum exposure to the dynamic of pain and emptiness and separation. Maximum exposure to that. Oh, babies. In so doing, we allowed ourselves to experience what others thought we couldn't even begin to tolerate, let alone conceive of. And somehow we did, and we practiced it basically and essentially as humanity upon ourselves. So the pain of the tortured became the pain of the torturee, too. You know, it goes both ways, you see. It's just the way things are. It's a flow. It's a give and take. It's a cosmic flow. That's the reality of which life is lived, this dream in which we live, in which we're dreaming. Even as it dissolves away. See, as you come to these levels of understanding and begin to see it like this and live it like this, well, then the levels begin to dissolve away. The various levels of dream begin to manifest and reveal themselves, and then, you know, the focus is taken. They're gone. We're living in a real place, in a real time. It never left us. Paradise is where we are. We went to sleep for a while. and dreamt this dream. And now we're going to wake up. I'm inside the dream, warning myself. Time to wake up, sleepyhead. And hey, what about that, cute little chickie honky alongside of you? You going to help her wake up too, you lame old man? Oh, hell, he's not such, look at that, man. It's kind of an elegant little being. That's me? Wow, if that's me, I wonder what you look like. Wow. We've changed, baby. We've changed as we went through this dream. Talk about ripening. Wow. And again, it's just a momentary dream. Just a moment. A flick of a finger. The bat of an eyebrow. The flick of a fly's wing, man, Just a moment. Yet we lived it so powerfully. Gave it such reality, such substance and form. Practiced such great desperation. Drove us to very extreme behaviors. Oh, darling, we got a lot to bless ourselves for, a lot to forgive ourselves for, a lot to understand so that we can forgive. But we're going through it rather grandly, aren't we? Aren't we getting there pretty God blessed quickly, considering where we've been in this dream, how far we've stretched it away from ourselves? It's a long old loop, man, in that moment in time that we call time. This dream of ours, this beautiful, beautiful, poetic training grounds. What a clever, clever installation, I guess, for lack of better terms, in creation. A vessel of containment, a divine dream. We create from dream, of course, and substance comes from our reality, of course. But we put it in an elemental envelope where the energies couldn't escape, you see. It's kind of like the mother's womb. That's the reality in which we live, the entire universe as we see it and experience here in 3D, It's a safety zone. It's a baby playpen, a baby crib with bars and shit around it, Access restricted. I mean, this is the innocent at play. They're dangerous because they don't know the consequences of their activities yet. Yet we set them free in this playpen of love and let them practice it and learn, quote, quote, the hard way, which is the only way that you really gain and grow, by experiencing things. There's no escape in that reality. You can read 1,000 books, and in that experience gain a lot, yes. Reawaken to what you are living, and then go, what? Live it. Be the living work of art that you are. It makes Hemingway and Fitzgerald and Steinbeck and those clever authors of, past days, and even of the ones of current day, man, it makes them all, Tom Robbins, wow, makes them all seem tame by comparison. The reality of the life we live and the incredible flexibility in it and the ability of the heart to create anything it wants out of it is beyond belief right now, yet that is our truth. And as this old world dissolves away, we begin to become empowered in that way because we gain our consciousness. We can be trusted once again with our true power, the power of love, the power of heart. And it's very forgiving because it already forgot everything it needed to forgive. You see what I mean? There's no need for it anymore. We liberated ourselves. We're awakening in our truthfully divine presence as the dream melts away. Same way the dreams do as you awaken from the sleep in this paradigm. Basically the same thing. But we're doing it as a group, as a union, as a one person. The entire collective of humanity. Some say 7 billion, I say 10 billion. But it doesn't matter, the numbers. They're insignificant because they're in union. And so the numbers are all adding up to one, right? That's you, that's me, that's my little doggy over there. Everything else that's around here, everything that's alive, that's one too. And yet collectively together, first in the level of humanity, as one person, one consciousness, living and experience itself in 10 billion different ways, 10 billion different aspects of itself, each a specialized application, the same way our cells and atoms in our body and so forth work, the same way, the chemistry of the earth works. Everything works in harmony. It's in union. It has a balance. in a direction and a flow that isn't always seen. It's not hard science, it's soft science. It's understanding the ability of creation to create, to live beyond any fixed rules you might want to try and apply there. There are none. There is no action and reaction. That's the dream. That's the thinking in the dream. Quantum physics goes out the window. It just experienced this as a dream. It finally found out what it was looking for that whole time in hard, cold facts, which led to what? The dissolution of all facts. There aren't any. Liberation, baby. It comes in many different ways, in many different forms. Some of it may even get it through some religious place, but it's not because of the dogma you've been practicing all the years. It's because your heart is incredibly awakened, in union with those around you in a certain moment in time. And this may be that moment right now. Maybe now there's a whole bunch of hearts awakening across this earth. Maybe there are saints arising from sackcloth and ashes. From insanity, the most sane and cool beings you ever saw. From the dregs, the saints arise. From the worst of life come the finest of hearts arising now. Out of the pits of hell, the very literal human pits of darkness, come the mighty saints of love arising in purity, pure innocence alive. They could allow themselves to be that evil. They could allow themselves to go so far away from a heart they didn't even think they had one. And now they awaken in a heartbeat as, of course, the paradigm around us dissolves, including that one. It was all fakery. It's a dream. Paradigms we've chosen to live by. We needed to know these extremes in ourselves, of our ability to even persevere through such a nightmare. We had to know this. We're children. We're curious. We're free. Our parents don't restrict us, except inside of this envelope. That's it. We're free to be and do anything here, as a collective and as a person. Because the person is an activity of the collective. It's a conscious part of everything. Whether it knows it or not, doesn't matter. It's behaving in that way irregardless. Oh, everything is so different than what you see here. Of course. How else could we trick ourselves into it? I mean, we had to give it an unreality, man. It was too real to be real. You understand? It was too horrible to be even tolerated for a moment. So we had to do it in a very creative way, as the innocent children that we were, because only in innocence could we stand such things, such horrible, unspeakable nightmares, such as those we have lived through in this paradigm. Babies, I'm here to compliment and bless you from the heart of the universe, the very heart inside of you, for all of the severity you have endured, for all of the lives that have been given and taken here, for all of the horrible hardship and endurance that we've had to go through in order to be a life alive at this moment in time, when finally, as a group, as a humanity, we come back to life and don't have to live in this shithole anymore, babies. God! Could we write horror stories or what, man? But then, you gotta remember the subtlety of a real author, of a real writer, and the story is the story behind the story, you understand? It's about the reality of the love that could tolerate such an existence for a while, and then reward itself tremendously for the experience it benefited from in that ugly way. The most horrible, unspeakable monsters arose and contained the energy of the heart. Ugliest things we could ever create. Murderous, meanest, God-blessed thing. Talk about dragons. That dragging your ass down so deep, there ain't no place else to go. That's a dark hole and then some. But out of that sprung the creative essence of life. It wasn't horribly wicked in the way it thought it was. It was a springboard. It's the earth. It's the soil. It's the shit that dissolves down and becomes the soil, the nutrients in the soil. It's the experience, yes, that stinks to high heaven, but what a blessing to life. What a completion of a long cycle, a long journey. as we compost down all of this experience to the basic realm of the heart, which is where it's always lived anyway. See, our parents wouldn't let us hurt ourselves. They love us. They're inside each and every one of us. They are not separate from us in any way. They're conscious of every movement we make because they are us, and we are them. In us lives the mother and the father. The one son inside of the mother's heart. Describe it however you will. That's how I see it and experience it. I think you do too. Others have dogmatic descriptions. Okay, be there with that until it shows you otherwise. Man, when you live it this way, you are this way. You see? It's really so simple. We've blown right by it. We've tried to prove it with science and art and all kinds of mysticism and stuff. And yeah, that's all good and plenty, and it does help. It's got us to where we are now. But look, it's simple. Reality is so simple. It's just being in the heart, in the one love that we are. To learn to stop punishing ourselves. That's the coyote way. That's the coyote medicine. We push ourselves through punishment quite often, and don't really mean to. But it's something we create out of an energy inside and anxiousness and, unawareness in life. It doesn't yet realize the flow and wants to stay where it thinks it wants to know what's happening there in that gritty way. Just remind it again, out of the grit is the life born, is the life given. Without the grit, there is no life. Now you understand why we chose to be it. For a while, as babies, innocent children, in the only way that we could possibly handle such roles. And some of them have been pretty God-blessed nasty. And some have been pretty damn blessed. But it's had this feeling of unreality to it. In those moments in time when things are getting close and, maybe an accident's in the making or somebody's approaching with a gun or something, when things are getting tense and close to life and death, you notice how this reality starts to become real malleable, and it changes, and time slows down to where a millisecond takes 3 hours and so forth. You have time to think and flow your way out of the situation. Because everything is distorted. Well, even if you're going to die, you start to see it that way. You start to see the reality. The divisions start to dissolve away. You start to realize again the undivided nature of life. And that's when you create your death. Your ability to check out of the dream for a while. See, we're in and out, because we can only take so much at a time. So we create lives, and we live in those lives in this dream. And then we have birth to bring us in and death to take us out. But it's really just a transition in the way we're living it. The way we experience it, that's all. It's the same moment. Birth and death are the same exact thing. You begin to experience the same thing as you're dying, as you did when you came to life. You come from reality into unreality. You go from unreality into reality. See, so the unreality is what? Unreality. It isn't there. It's an experience in the mind of God, if you will, or Great Spirit, the person that we are. It's an experience in our conscious presence in that way. You see, in that divine way. That allows all to be. It's the freedom of the baby child, unrestricted. There is no dominating parent. The parent lives inside us. It's the flow that does guide us, if we allow it to. You see, we can go any direction we want. We can go against the flow, at least in perception. We're allowed anything here, but we are allowed consequences too. We live with them. Lifetime to lifetime. You think, suicide's the easy way out. That just rewrites the prescription. You get a little time to catch your breath. Go play with the dogs for a while, and maybe the kitty cats, depending on your persuasion. But you get a little time to breathe in between, but you come right back. Got to do it again, baby. You didn't finish that one. You checked out early. Most deaths, I got to tell you, though, really are suicides of one sort or another. You just get to this point where you're tired. And you want to awaken. You can't take any more of this, You've been living into that tough level for far too long, and you just had enough of it. wears you down in the, you know, in the dream, inside of the dream. So it's time to go home. You know, at some real subdural, very subconscious way, there, you know, there's a limit to how much you will take, or how much you've agreed to take in any given lifetime. Sometimes we come and live for 30 seconds just to embody that moment where the baby child is birthed and all is in perfect and divine harmony inside of that child as a human being, a newly created human being in the dream. It's one of those moments when we, you know, really know we're still, it's just a dream. We know we're just passing into it again. And we're happy to be back in the dream, you know, and to flow with the dream. To be able to glow in that moment, because that might be the moment we had to live and share right there. We finally emoted from the mother's womb and got to expose our tiny little presence to the elements of the dream once again. We share great energy. We bring in great light. And yeah, maybe it don't last long, but it's a flash, baby, and it's a very needed flash. Because it keeps things going on, you know, and it brings an even smoother harmony. Each child that's born brings this with them, no matter the agony or the angst of the moment in which it's brought forward. That one moment is the right moment. And man, it explodes like a nuclear explosion and spreads all over the earth. And it's not like destructive in the way of a nuclear, but it's more like clear in the way of new clear. You see it more clearly now because one more little baby child was born. That's how instrumental every baby child is in this reality. And some come in with more energies than others. Remember, it's a dream, and it's also kind of a game or a movie that we're living in, like a Sims city thing, you know. It's kind of like that, but there are many levels to it and many ways to play it, you see. It gets incredibly complex when you approach it from that angle. When you see it from the angle of the heart, you see that it's just newly created experiences designed by our own intelligence that we step into. And we kind of serve roles in and share energies through and gain great experience from. You see, but we already know what it's going to be for the most part. It's extremely flexible. We can change it when we're in it if we become conscious of it. You see? It's a pretty wild trip, isn't it? But that's the gift we're giving ourselves this year for the holidays. The awakening. The refusal to live inside the dream any longer. The awakening. It says, I've had enough of the nightmare. I've learned, I've seasoned, I've grown. Look at the incredible wealth of energy we're able to regenerate from inside of ourselves. Now we've become regenerative of all of reality, because we allowed ourselves to experience a few moments in dream, a few harsh moments in dream. Holy cow. But that makes us regenerative. Now, I don't know how to describe it any further than that word right now, because the consciousness, you know, isn't just quite there in it yet. Yet we feel it. It's regenerating already. It's transformative. It's letting the reality come forward. But even more than that, in that reality, regenerating that too, that beginning. Regenerating it all. See, it's kind of like recreating it in the same moment in which we lived it, in that dream. It's regenerating everything. But yeah, the person dreaming as well. Regenerative and regenerating. Coming back to life in ways we didn't even know were possible until we experienced the dream. And the cosmic reality in that dream. And the harshness that we felt there. Bless it all, babies. Because it sets you free. It's Free Day Wednesday here, babies. Wednesday in the morning, man. And we're giving you the warning. The heart's taking off. You know, it's not going to hold its song back any longer. It's going to be sung in complete harmony with all that is. So says Grandpa here on the Coyote Medicine Show. Once again, on the Hazy Radio Network, the ever-lovin'est network you ever found. They let Grandpa hang around. It's all right, huh? Rock it.